What is going on, Dominators? David Dominator here, and today we are here with a different, new, and improved video. In this video, we're not just going to talk about 10 players I want to see in the NFL. I just realized that I messed this up. Hold up, y'all. Before we go, XFL, the ones I want to see in the XFL. Now, some of these are I want to see return to the XFL, and I will give you a list of people I would like to see return as well. And right now I'll give you a few that I would like to return. Um, I think that um, I think Luis Perez should return. I think Quentin Flowers should return. Reese Horn, uh, Kenneth Farrow, who I think was really good. Nelson Spruce, Josh Johnson, I think should also return. Now these are 10 players that I would like to see in the XFL. Number 10, by the way, these are not in any order, and right now these don't have stats as well. Number 10, Deestroying. I think Deestroying would be interesting in the XFL. I think it would be fun, especially because of his story. The only reason why I kind of put this, if this was like a rank, that this would be like the bottom of the list, because as much as I would like to see Deestroying, I don't think he wants to. Now, when you look at his YouTube channel, it has become bigger. As it's become bigger, his devotion to being in the NFL is has fallen. Now, I think it's fallen because he's realized that he can get paid doing YouTube videos, and he's actually making a living without doing what he wanted to do. So he's always says now and then that, oh, I should go back to college and play, or I should do this, I should do that. He tried to do the Toronto League. I think if he wants to do it, he should come to the XFL. Simple on that. Test your might. As we know, we all you need to do is be a good kicker. Uh, if he's that good, if he says he's that good, make a 60 something yard kick, and these NFL guys will call him up. They watch spring football, like they've said it with the FCF or the UCFL. They watch it just like they do the um like they will with the XFL. I think that Deestroying would be a good pick for them. Now another guy I think would be good, and this is one that um I think about a lot, is Marquette King. I think that he is a guy that you can really think about, and he could be a great guy. I know he tried to get on the Bills because of their punter situation. I don't want to talk about it, especially talk about the player himself because it's disgusting. But I think that Marquette was going to retire, but then the fans said if the XFL gave him an opportunity, he would return. So he might return. He did very well with the Battlehawks. As you can see, the XFL stat, he had 19 punts, uh, 868 yards. His longest was 63, and then his average was 47.7. Now you also have to remember that the years of NFL experience are in the stats above. Obviously, with 446 punts, um, 20,822 yards, and 27 was his longest. And so that explains a lot. And then obviously with the Raiders, he was with the Raiders, he was with the Broncos, and then he was with the Battlehawks. A guy I would think I would love to see in the XFL again. A guy I'm interested in, Andrew Jamiel. Um, this is his FCF record. I didn't put his college stats in or his high school stats or whatever. I don't officially know that all that. But as you guys can see, obviously you guys can see how the more stats I found, it was easier. But in 2 seasons in the FCF, and one was super short and one was a little bit longer, he had 44 receptions, 17 touchdowns, 631 yards. That's a good stat. He's a slot guy. He reminds me a lot of three guys in particular. One is Calvin Austin, the rookie that the Steelers just got. He reminds me a lot of Hunter Renfrow. And another guy he reminds me a lot is somebody I just mentioned. Um, uh, I don't want to say his name wrong. Uh, Kenneth Farrow. I think they he they have a similar style to Andrew Jamiel. And Andrew's quick, he's fast, and I think he would be a good slot guy in the XFL. I've heard that he tried out for the Patriots, um, and I've heard that the XFL have given him a opportunity to go. I'm assuming they'll probably give him a private tryout. The XFL guys or the XFL teams are having their staffs have private workouts around the country, and I think that is good. And Andrew Jamiel might be one of those guys who goes to those private workouts and could get a spot. Another guy from the FCF who I combined his stats, Deindre Francois. He went 48 out of 92. This is his 2 seasons in the league, by the way. 757 yards. That's on that short ass field. 19 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Obviously, that's good stats. He's a good guy. I think that would be interesting. My only problem with him is he was a lot. By the way, and I'm going to mention this because this is the last FCF guy. Most of the FCF guys, and I'm going to talk about this a lot, most of the FCF guys, I think I would like to see in the XFL. One guy that went to the FCF, who went to the Spring Football League, who then went to the NFL, was I forget his first name. I think Trevante Turpin. He, the punt returner, the guy that everyone's all crazy about. He was the NFL or the MVP of the USFL. He was in this league first, and I think that if he goes to I think if these FCF guys could really do that good, prove it on the bigger field, they can be stars in the XFL and the NFL. This is another one, Kenny Robinson. This one is a return. Obviously, I mentioned returns earlier, but he was just waived by the Carolina Panthers. In the XFL, he had 91 combined tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 sack. He didn't have any interceptions. He didn't have any sacks. He only had 14 combined tackles. He only started, I think, only 4 games, though. So something to keep in mind, he's only started 4 games in the NFL. He was cut. I don't think he's on a current team. I don't think any practice squad has gotten him. I don't think he's on a team right now. But I think this would be a young guy who proved he was really good in the XFL. I think he would be very good in the NFL again. Number 5, Marlon Mack. Now, I just took some of the career stats. I wasn't about to just put a whole bunch on here. But yards, you know, not a good average. I should have put receiving yards as well because he was great at receiving the ball as well. But Marlon Mack, he's a veteran. He's a 5-year veteran, I believe. And, I think he's a guy who has gone under the radar. And Marlon Mack is right now currently. And some of these guys on here are current free agents who might not be there for long. But Marlon Mack, if he doesn't get a job, do you think that he should just be like, you know what? Why not? Try out this league. Maybe we'll get somewhere. And maybe we can get on a team and maybe, just maybe, kind of refresh his career because I think he kind of got overshadowed by Jonathan Taylor and his skills. And, Marlon Mack is good, but you can't pay 2 good guys at once. You got to, there's a problem there. But Marlon Mack, obviously, I think he would be an instant number 1 guy on the team, probably a captain, and I think he would be great in the XFL. Probably the best running back, obviously, but something to take in consideration. This is my little under the radar pick, Carson Strong. He was recently released by the Eagles. He signed as an undrafted free agent. Today, as I'm filming this video, because this video might not be out until then, but today he was in a tryout with the Broncos. Now, he's going to be a young guy who I personally think should sign with the XFL, and I want to tell you this, is that the XFL are going to do a lot of different things. to make it work. And I think that there's 3 tiers that they could work. Number 1, the XFL needs to get guys in the NFL. So NFL guys need to come down, get stuff done and then go back up and help with the XFL or the NFL. College guys, they need to bring some college prospects in so then that way they can also boost their careers. And they need to have their own talent. Carson Strong can be that. If he's a young kid and you put him on your team and he does very well on your squad, he could then stay in the XFL if he can't do it in the NFL. And then that's your guy. Kind of like how the CFL does it, how they have their guys and they're their stars of their team. I think that Carson Strong could be a good piece to that. I think he is a good quarterback, a decent quarterback. As you can see in his stats aren't terrible. His stats are not terrible at all. And I think you give him a good old line, you give him some stuff, and he could possibly be a top quarterback in the XFL. So I think Carson Strong is a good pick, but that, like a lot of these guys, most of these guys at least that are up on the top, like Marlon Mack, Carson Strong, they could get picked up by any team. So like Seattle could pick up Carson Strong if they wanted to. We just don't know how that would work. So this is just hypothetical if they just decided to say yes. This is just people I would like to see as well. Nathan Peterman, and the reason why I say this is because this could be the Paxton Lynch, the USFL's version, or the XFL version of Paxton Lynch, who didn't do well in the NFL, didn't do well as a starter, put him on a team, and hope that he does the best. And this is a similar situation, I think. Nathan Peterman really has not had a good NFL career. When he was with the Raiders, he was okay, because Derek Carr wasn't really hurt, and then they also had Marcus Mariota. He was the third stringer. Now it's different when it comes down to, I just don't know. With Nate, because another guy I kept hearing was Josh Rosen, and I don't think he should come to the XFL because I think he's a bust, to be 100% honest. There's no reason to put him in the XFL because I don't think he'll do well. And if he does well, that's going to look bad on the XFL because then it's going to be like, well, then he goes back to the NFL and then gets dog crap, like dog watered. Like, that's not good. So even though Nathan Peterman doesn't have good stats, I think Nathan Peterman would do great in the XFL. Kind of give him a start because he's not going to get a starting job, but a lot of these guys could battle for backup jobs, which could be very great later on in their careers. We've seen that being a good backup could help your career. Taylor Heineke, who isn't on this list, but I'm going to talk about later on because he just popped into my head because he's in a similar situation. So, number 2, Philip Lindsay. I think Philip Lindsay would and needs to go to the XFL. The reason why I think this, the reason why I say this is because because Philip Lindsay has had an interesting career where it started so high after being an undrafted free agent, right? And ever since then, he just hasn't been that guy. And maybe it's because his career kind of dwindled down when, there's been a few injuries, as well as, Melvin Gordon came in, and he took number 1 job. And then after that, they drafted a guy after him, and then they let go Philip Lindsay, and then Lindsay went to other teams and didn't do that decent. So this, I think, if you give him, I think it's the same with Marlon Mack. He's going to be one of the elite running backs in the XFL. I think he could quite possibly be the number 1 guy. He could be MVP. I think Philip Lindsay is a great guy to add in and a great guy to restart his career and show people, like, guys, I'm not done. I am not dead yet. I still got a lot of fight in me. I still got a lot of playing time in me. Put me on the field. Put me on your number one. Let's go win a championship. A guy I would like to see return, P.J. Walker. Now I have his stats from Carolina and his stats from the XFL. From Carolina, he's 122 attempts, 86 yards, or 68 completions. Jeez. 730 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I didn't count rushing stats again. But here's the thing I want to talk to you about this. He has won all of his career starts. That's good. I think that he is in a situation that I think he should return. Now, he might not return next year, 2023 kickoff, but he could return the year after. Hear me out. Because he's in a weird situation. Matt Rule, I don't know how long he's going to stay there. And that part of me feels like that's the only reason why he's still there, is because he has that connection from to Matt Rule. But think about it. You have Baker Mayfield, who is not going to go anywhere for the time being. They have Sam Darnold, who's hurt currently. But it sounds like they're going to keep both of them for a while. And now you have a rookie quarterback in Matt Corral. Matt Corral could be a rookie that we see in the XFL in a few years. Because out of everyone in this draft class, out of the top 5 quarterbacks, he did the worst. I know he got hurt in the preseason games, but he did the worst out of a lot of guys. And I think that if he struggles, he might be out of the league in a few years. Like quickly. It'd be in the span of 4 years. We've seen that happen before. And I think that if he goes, he can go to the XFL, Matt Corral. But if he gets his together, if he can get his stuff together, you're going to have Baker Mayfield and him. Sam Darnold probably won't be in the picture, and I don't think PJ will be in the picture if Matt Rule gets fired. So if he goes back to the XFL, gets a little more, gets that fire to prove that people that he wasn't a one and done type of guy, that he can start a game, I think that would be good. And maybe he just stays in the XFL because he knows that he can do better there. Because look at his numbers in the XFL. 119 completions out of 184 attempts. I know that's not magnificent, but then 1,338 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. To me, that's good. And that's not including his rushes, his highlight plays he made. I think he needs to be a guy who needs to return. Now, what I said earlier with a guy like Taylor Heineke, I think he's going to come back to the XFL as well. I think he should. Look at his situation he is in currently. He's getting pushed out by the Commanders, pretty much. You have Carson Wentz, who is not going to go anywhere right now. Sam Howell looks very good and could be a starter in a few years. And Taylor Heineke, I don't think he has enough tape to show that he could he has a lot of highlight plays. He's had a few good games. I don't think he's going to be that guy who could a team's going to be like, I want him to start for my team or be a backup. Now, I think people would be like, okay, he could be our number 1 backup. But I just don't believe that will be the case. He's a guy I also think should come back. But out of everybody, who do you think would come back? I'm going to re-show you. Like, I don't really want to go re-show you the list. But, like, I think out of everyone, if I had a rate 1 to 5, I would say out of 5, I would love Deestroying. I think it's like a 1. Marquette, I'm going to say a 3 because he has said, or a 4 because he said he would return. Andrew Jamiel, I think should be a 5. I want to see a 5. I think it's more of a 3. Same exact thing. Kenny Robinson, I think 5. I think he should be on the XFL team. Marlon Mack, I think it's more of a 2. I think he'll get picked up by a team, especially when injuries start to happen during the season. Carson Strong, same thing, similar thing, but I'm going to say a 3. Nathan Peterman, I'm going to say a 2, just because I do feel like he would stay on that NFL team. Philip Lindsay, I would say 2.5. I would say 3 because I would like it to be a 3, just because I think he would be good. Philip Walker might be a long shot, and right now it's not going to happen with the injuries in Carolina. So right now it's a 2, but I think later on he's going to be the number 1 guy. So I don't know how you guys feel about my list. I know there's a lot of other names out there, a lot of other guys, but I want you guys to, like, how do you guys feel about this? Do you think I made the right choice? Do you guys think that and the guys I mentioned earlier, do you want to see these guys back? Or do we just think that this is, like, no, we don't need to see this? So, like, or we don't need to see these players. Or no, they're going to go in the NFL teams. Because half of these guys are probably going to stick on their NFL squads or get an NFL squad. But these are people that I think should, to restart their careers, or to get more, because all you need is more tape. If you could prove that, maybe it will help you. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Who did I miss? Who would you guys like to see out of my list? And who would you add to it? Thank you guys for watching this video. Follow me on everything up top: Twitter, Instagram, and obviously YouTube, obviously my Twitch as well. It's the same thing, except for right after David, it is _777. All of that should be in the link below. And that's going to be it. Dominate the world, Dominators. And we will be back. Click notification bell, because David the Dominator is out. Peace.